Hi, this is Writing with Ralph, and this is the fourth session I've done, and glad to be with you guys today. Today is Wednesday. Some people call Wednesday Hump Day. I guess if you think of the week as a mountain to climb, Wednesday is the middle of the week, and then we climb over it and we slide down for Thursday and Friday. Everything is good here. I got a new Fitbit for my birthday, and trying to take walks and trying to get my 10,000 steps every day. I found that I feel better when I do that. So, and also it's just nice to get outside and get some fresh air. um, Once again, we're going to be doing some writing today. So please make sure you've got something to write on, a notebook, piece of paper. I think today we're going to be doing some sketching. So an electronic thing like an iPad or a computer might be harder to do that with. So I would suggest the old-fashioned paper and pencil or markers or pen. Um, so let's see, a couple of times ago when we did the second session, I think, we talked about the importance of how writers lean in and observe closely, that importance of just really paying close attention. And so a bunch of kids sent me some writing. I'm just going to share you this one piece by a boy, and he wrote about the mysterious claw. I like the way he actually showed me the claw on the piece of paper there, which is cool. The mysterious claw. One day at Robert Moses Beach over the coronavirus break, I went looking for seashells on the shore. Suddenly, I stumbled upon a strange-looking crab claw. I haven't seen anything like it, so I bent over, picked it up, and ran over to my dad with it in my hands. "Oh my God," my dad said. "We might have just found a new species of crab." It was orangish red with bumps on it. On the joints, it's hairy and spiky and frozen open. On the bottom of the claw was like an odd triangle shape. I think it had been dead for a while because the claw was frozen open. The inside of the claw looked like wired teeth. I really want to know what kind it is. So I really like the way he took the time to describe exactly what it looked like. And here's a gal that wrote about we read last time. We read a piece by about my brother that I wrote called "School" and how my brother Jim was a straight A student. And here's a fourth grade gal who wrote a piece called "Straight A," and I'll just read this right now. "When I'm dancing and hearing music, I feel free. It gets me out of my thoughts, and there's nothing but me and the music. I'm on top of a mountain, the wind is blowing, and I can feel how the warmth is coming up in me. I'm smiling, I can be creative, I can feel how my heart opens up and how it guides me. When I hear music, I just start dancing. Memories come back to my mind. I'm just myself. I do what I like, and I like what I do." That's a strong piece. I really like the lines here. "I can feel how my heart opens up and how it guides me." Beautiful. Wow. You guys are doing some good writing. Um, so let's see here. I'm going to also, as we kind of ease in our time together, I want to share a couple of my poems. That's what I've been doing at the beginning, just as a way to kind of get the juices flowing. And I wrote a poem called "Scavengers." And, when I grew up, my parents used to take us to the beach a lot. And so this is a poem that's sort of based on when you go to the beach and a big rainstorm comes in. But sometimes, like when everybody runs to the car, sometimes our family would stay under the umbrella for a while, and then once the storm passed, we would stay. So this is a poem called "Scavengers." By the end of the storm, almost everybody has left. The sand feels cool and muddy with a million tiny rain craters. I hear the low voice of waves and the raucous sound of birds. Hundreds of gulls have descended onto this deserted beach to claim a bonanza of soggy french fries, crusts, cookies, apple cores. The beach will stay empty except for these birds and us, happy to scavenge the leftover scraps from this summer day. And the other thing I was going to tell you about was um, I read an article about like the most beautiful words in the world. It was just someone's opinion, but I just wanted to share this with you, what I wrote, because I copied this into my notebook so I wouldn't forget them. The 10 most beautiful words, according to this article, were hush, dawn, mist, lullaby, tranquil, luminous, chimes, golden, melody, murmuring. So I took that idea and I wrote a poem called The 10 Most Beautiful Words. And I'll just share this with you right now. It's a poem of mine. I saw a list of the 10 most beautiful words in the English language: dawn, hush, mist, lullaby, tranquil, luminous, chimes, golden, melody, murmuring. I like them all, the sound of them, especially murmuring. It made me picture ripples shuddering across still water. And now I've got 10 glossy new coins jingling in my pocket. It's funny, at the end of that poem, when I first wrote it, I wrote, and now I've got 10 shiny new coins jingling in my pocket. And I guess I thought that shiny new coins was kind of a cliche. We've heard that before, so I tried to find a better word than shiny, and I used glossy. Maybe that's a little bit better. All right. So we're going to be talking about writing as we do, and I've been thinking about these sessions. What they are and what they're not, because I'm not trying to teach anybody how to write. That's a big challenge, and I'm not really looking at that as my goal. I look at these sessions as a chance for us to write together, and for me to build on what you're already doing as a writer. And I do think that I can give you some tips and strategies that will help you improve your writing. I think writing's not one of those things that you're just born with. I mean, maybe in some ways there are certain people that are born writers, but I think most of us can become better writers by learning about it, by reading and by studying writing and just by doing lots of writing. So one of the questions that comes up a lot. Oh, before I get to this, sorry, I forgot about something. I had something happen to me this week, actually just a couple days ago, and I wrote about it in my writer's notebook because it was just so unexpected, and how the world's full of unexpected things and surprises. So I just wanted to read you this what I wrote in my notebook. Yeah, and I'm going to use my glasses for this, if I may. Snowstorm coming, so I wanted to cover the grill. But when I took the cover, took it off this table, something fell out of it and onto the deck. It was green and mossy, a nest. Then I saw a mouse. It ran and hid behind the snow shovel. And then I saw something small and pink. When I bent down, I saw a very tiny baby mouse. I spotted another one and another. I spotted 3 tiny baby mice about this big. They were lying on their sides, twitching. I didn't know what to do, so I crouched down and I carefully picked each one up and I put it back into the mossy nest. Then I took the nest and I slid the nest underneath the grill because I figured if the snow was going to fall, you didn't want to have the snow on the nest. And then I left, hoping that the mother mouse would find the babies. I don't even know if I'm going to write about that any more than that, but that just is such an amazing thing. And I called my wife outside to come out and look with me and to see these little tiny pink things, barely bigger than my thumb. That's how small they are, and how small they were. And then in the morning, by the way, when it snowed, I went out into the grill and I looked at the nest, but there were no babies in there, so I hope that the parents found them. Okay. So we talked about writing, and one of the questions that every writer has to ask and answer for themselves is, what should I write about? Everybody has to ask that question and answer it, and it's really important to claim your material, what it is that you have to say. That's been really important for me as a writer. I'm reading this amazing book called Pachinko about it's a story that's set in Japan and in Korea. And it's a great story. And I'm reading this, but I'm very aware it's not my story. I couldn't have written this book. I've got to find something that I could write. So um, sometimes I gather ideas in my writer's notebook, and I use language and text to do it. But I also do it in another way. And I want to share with you what I do. Um, Sometimes I'll sketch out. And when I wrote my book, Marshfield Dreams, what I did was, because I knew I had a lot of neighborhood stories, in my notebook, I made a map of my neighborhood. I just want to show you that map right there. Now, when you look at this map, you can see why Ralph Fletcher is not an illustrator. I mean, if you're ever going to play a game of Pictionary, you don't want me in your team. It will not go well. Um, but I found that just by making this map and said, so this was our house down here, and this was like there was a road next to our house, and there was a clearing back here. My dad cleared this part of the woods so that we had a place to play. Anyway, I began to remember things in my life through my notebook and to my map. So when I wrote my book Marshfield Dreams, they hired an illustrator who took my map. This is Marshfield Dreams, and then you can see the map here that they made from that. She made from that, and you can see my house down here. It's funny they have the White House with the picket fence, but that's what we had. And then you can see up here it says unexplored territory because we never went up that far. And if you can, let me show you something up here. I want to just show you up here. See this little picture of my brother over here. Well, I guess it's over here. Whoop. It shows somebody coming out of a shack holding these something in his hands. Well, I remembered something, and I used that map to generate this memory, which I'm going to read to you right now. It's very short. It's about my brother Jimmy again. One time, Jimmy led a bunch of kids to a part of Ailes Woods we'd never explored before. It was hot, and the rest of us wore shorts, but Jimmy always wore heavy jeans because he liked to climb through thickets of briars and prickers. His face was sweaty and streaked with dirt. We just entered a sunny meadow, running at full speed, when Jimmy suddenly slammed on the brakes. He pointed at a wooden shack that was caved in on one side. "Come on," he yelled. Jimmy climbed in. I heard a muffled cry, and then he climbed out again. Everyone gasped. He was triumphantly holding 2 fistfuls of snakes. This is true. There must have been 6 snakes in each hand, garter snakes, twisting in the sunlight, furious that their sleeping place had been disturbed. That's the kind of thing my brother Jimmy would do. And I remembered that memory, obviously, by making the map. So what I would like you to do right now is I'd like you to try this yourself. I'd like you to make a map, take out a piece of paper, and sketch out some place that you can remember. Now you might say, well, what place should I sketch? Here's some ideas. You can pick your own house. You could choose a house that you used to live in that you have a lot of memories of, because you want a kind of place that when you close your eyes and you put your head on the pillow, that place is really alive in your memory. Maybe you've got a grandparent's house that you go to a lot and visit. You've got a lot of memories collected there. Or maybe it's just some place that you just go to a lot. So I'd like you to right now, and we can do this while we're talking, you just start sketching out your map, just like I did. And it's not a contest. Don't worry if you're not a great drawer, because you can see I wasn't either. I'm not a great drawer. And just start sketching the house, the yard, maybe where the street was, or the sidewalk, or anything that's important to you that you want to remember. And I'm just keeping an eye on the clock here, so we've got our time right. And as you're, I'll give you a minute to get started making that map, because I really do think that, a lot of stories are buried in places. And that's not always true, but it's often true that stories really contain, that places contain a lot of the the events of our life. They're kind of wedded together. So when we remember those places and we get in touch with those places, we kind of bring those stories back to life and back to our conversation and back to our consciousness. So here's what I'd like you to do. As you're making your map, I am going to ask you a few questions. And so hopefully you can make your map with one part of your brain, and with the other half of your brain, you can listen to what I'm saying. So you can kind of multitask, hopefully. And as you're making your map, first of all, I'd like to suggest that you start labeling things. So if I was at your house looking over your shoulder, I'd see, the picnic table with a word under it. And so you write down, just important things that you want to remember. The swamp, or the little stream, or the place where we always pick blueberries. I don't know, whatever it is. So start labeling things. And now while you're doing that, I just want to say that, in some ways what you're making here is like a story map. You can think of you've seen cartoons or you've seen movies with pirates having a treasure map. And in a treasure map, X marks the spot where the treasure is buried. Well, in a story map, X marks the spot where the story is buried. So what I'd like you to do is put an X on your map where something happened. Maybe it's a place where your brother fell down and chipped a tooth. Maybe it's a place where you got stung by a bee. Maybe it's a time that you played hide and go seek and nobody ever found you. Just put an X on an important place where something happened. Okay, so we're going to label some things. We're going to put some X's down on the map. The third thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to mark any danger spots, and you can do that with a D. Parents, as you know, are really phobic about water. So if there's any water near your property, a pond, a lake, whatever, mark that, because parents are worried about those danger spots. My wife grew up in Vermont, and they had these quarries that had lots of water, and the parents would always say, "Don't go near the quarry." But of course, always the kids always did go near the quarries. All right, so mark any danger spots, and maybe it's the road, maybe it's some neighbor that your parents said stay away from that guy, or maybe it's a dog that menaced you. So if you have any danger spots, mark that. The fourth thing is look at your map and ask yourself, did you have a favorite place? If you had a favorite place, mark that. And then the last thing is, did you have a secret place? I did this once in a classroom and one kid said to me, "Yeah, but Mr. Fletcher, if I tell you my secret place, it won't be secret anymore." Well, that's true. But maybe it's a place that just you like to go yourself, or maybe you and a friend. And it's even possible that your favorite place is your secret place. And it's also possible you don't have a secret place, and that's fine also. So again, if I came to your house and I looked at your map, I'd see lots of things that you'd be adding on there, and a lot of D's and some X's and some words. And maybe you could make your favorite place, you could mark that with an F if you feel like it. And if you have a secret place, you could mark that with an S. And we're just about out of time, but I guess what I want to say is, as you're looking at your map, I want you to look it over and see if a story jumps out at you, something that you really remember. Because I found that making this map dug up memories that I forgot about, that I hadn't remembered about. I'm going to tell you a funny story, or funny truth, that there are these, maybe you've heard about this, they've got these certain kinds of pigs in France called truffle pigs. Truffles are these mushrooms that are very, very expensive, and they grow under the ground. And pigs have an amazing sense of smell, so they train these pigs. It sounds like I'm making this up, but it's true. They train these pigs to go out in the woods, and they'll stop and smell the truffles, and then the farmer will dig them up out of the ground, and then they're very, like I said, they're very valuable and they're very tasty. And you might say, well, what does this have to do with what we're talking about today? I think that as a writer, you've got to be like a truffle pig. You've got to really find those stories in that landscape, in that neighborhood map that you're making, and dig them up and write about them. So I invite you to tell a story to somebody in your family, and even to take a little moment and do some writing about a memory that gets generated by looking and by creating that map. Okay, well that's great. That's about our time, um, and I just want to say again that I really enjoy spending time with you. You see, I've got my writing shirt on, and I'm always interested in reading your writing. So I've been sharing my email address. I'm the author of the book Fig Pudding, so my email address is figpudding@gmail.com. You probably should, make sure your parents are aware that you're emailing me, or have your parents email me. But I'd love to read your writing, and if I have time, I'll definitely try to give you some feedback on it, or at least tell you that I've read it and give you a quick response. So thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you guys in 2 days. We'll do another session at 1 o'clock Eastern of Writing with Ralph. All right, thank you very much. Bye.